Hello and welcome to Operation Carpe Diem podcast. I'm Caitlin, and here we help business owners seize their opportunity for success. Ready to start seizing your day? Let's dive on in. So for today's episode, this is so exciting. We have Heather and Jamie from the Conquer community here today, and we are talking about all things conferences and how to attend conferences as an introvert. Hi Heather, hi Jamie. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi.
I'm good. How are you guys? I feel like I already know a lot about you all because we're in the same mastermind together, but for our listeners who may have never heard of you all, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves, about Conquer, what exactly is the Conquer community, all the things.
I love it. Jamie, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I'm like, can we pause and I pull up my application?
I can go first. Hello all. I am Heather, part of the duo. I am based in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I am a wedding and senior photographer, and then also the co-host of the Conquer community with Jamie, my other sidekick.
Heather and I run the Conquer community and have since the pandemic, which is pretty exciting, a really great thing that came out of that time. And,
absolutely.
I am the owner of Jamie Fisher Collective, and we came together to make this beautiful community.
And it's such a great and empowering community. I know that you guys do, what is it, bi-weekly Clubhouse meetings now? You guys are still on Clubhouse, and I love it. I join every now and then whenever I have the time, and it's just so great to like see everybody like coming together and just helping one another. And you're absolutely right. It was a great thing that came out of the pandemic.
Yeah, so we were both just itching to chat with people, and so this was just a fun way for not only people to like learn education and continuing to grow their businesses, but then also just connect and build that community. And it has grown to be such a big thing and such a joy for the two of us, so we love it.
And you've gotten to do that even further with your Conquer conference now too, Conquer Live.
Yes. Oh gosh, it was it almost kind of like came to life because of our community wanting to meet each other and wanting to hug each other and like get together in person once the doors kind of opened after the COVID pandemic. And so it just kind of came to be, and we love it. Our last year went incredible. We had so many educators just pouring into the attendees and just being there to help them from the start on Friday until the end on Sunday. And so it has just been such a joy, and we can't wait for round 2 to come back.
Yes, I know. I probably am like misquoting your website here, but like one of the best things that I think about Conquer Live is your like attendee educator relationship. Everybody is just there to truly serve everybody, and I love that.
That was, I think, the most surprising part for Heather and I, because it's something that we wanted and something that we didn't see, these barriers being broken down. Typically when you go to an event, educators, rightfully so, are being, having kind of the VIP experience, and you get time with them, but it's very scheduled time, and it's very limited in comparison to what we've done with Conquer Live. And so we were like, hey, we have this crazy idea. We see what it can do for other business owners if the setting is placed in this manner, and let's see if anybody else also agrees with us. To be completely honest, we had no idea if we would have anyone even apply to be an educator, and once we put it out there, we realized after going through, that little bit of uncertainty and fear, once it was out into the world, we realized just how many educators were craving that way to connect with actual people who are coming to learn from them. And I mean, we were blown away.
Yes. Well, I think that's true just like in a human capacity. Like we all crave connection, especially post-pandemic times. And whether you're an educator or it's your first year in business, which I know you guys cater to a lot, we are all growing in our craft and in our businesses, and to open up that space for everybody to connect and learn is just so powerful. I love it. It's like, can I go to Conquer too? Like, you guys still have tickets, right?
5 tickets left.
Yeah, 5 tickets left. You hear that, listeners? Grab yours today. I'll put a link in the show notes.
Oh, I love it.
I love it. So now I love this topic specifically because I've never actually been to a conference. I've networked a lot in my business. I've never like traveled and got to sit down at a conference and learn in that kind of environment. And I think that for introverts especially, and I know a lot of our listeners are introverts, it can be really scary, right? You go into a room, you don't know anybody, especially like in maybe like a non-Conquer setting. It's kind of stuffy, like all of these educators seem like above you, like where do you even start? So I love that we're having this conversation today. So first of all, why do you guys think that conferences are so important, or like what makes them different from solo or course learning, which I would probably gravitate towards as an introvert?
I'm like, you go first when there's 2 of us.
I know.
No, I'll go. I think whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, widening your community is so important, and being out where there are other people in your industry going through the same things that you are, there's nothing that compares to that type of support, no matter your preference of how you show up or how much energy you have. You just never know what those connections are going to lead to down the road. And Heather and I are like a great case study within that, because we attended a conference, even though in real life we're only 2 hours away from one another, and really have photographed at the same venues. We had never met until we went to a conference that was on the other side of the United States, where we got introduced to one another through her roommate that was there. And now Conquer Live is here. And none of those things would have happened if we hadn't have both made the choice to say, yes, we're going to go to this conference.
That is so true. I love that.
It's so crazy that like that's our story, and now having a conference where like you really don't know what is going to happen when you step foot into a conference and start your time there. And so not only is the community such a big thing, but also the amount of education that you receive within one weekend or 2 or 3 days at a conference. You can get so much information of so many different topics, like the back end of your business, the shooting, the editing, the communication with your clients and the client experience. Just the amount of information and education that you can receive in one small period of time and take home and add into your business and grow your business is just phenomenal. Like, we recommend it so incredibly much.
Yes, and it's so intentional too. I think one of the like pitfalls of having an online course is you buy it and you're like, oh, I'll definitely go through it, but attending a conference, you were intentionally scheduling out that time for you to learn and grow, and hopefully afterwards to implement your scheduling that time as well. So many benefits to going to a conference.
While you're there at the conference and learning, you also have the opportunity. There is always Q&A at every event I've ever been to. There is always a Q&A portion of anything that you are attending. And so if you ask a question, that might lead you to another question depending on their answer. And I think it's really valuable to hear it right there live, which if you did an online course, yes, you may be able to submit within some type of, Facebook group or support group that they have set up. You'd have to wait for your answer. It also will likely be typed. And I don't know, I think there's still a barrier there of like, oh, well, how many questions can I ask? Like, am I asking too much? Even though you paid for the course. It's just, it's totally different when you can learn from the educator in person.
Right. You don't want to blow up, a course's inbox and be like super annoying. So having that one-on-one and really like custom personalized responses is so valuable. I love this. So that leads us into kind of the bulk, the meat of this episode, and that is tips for attending a conference and attending a conference as an introvert. So I'm so excited to see what you have to pour into us today.
I love it. So we actually have 5 tips to go through. And we'd love, like, while we're doing it, Caitlin, I know that you always say that you're more of an introvert for your business. And so Jamie and I are kind of more on the extroverted side, so we think this will be a really cool conversation to get your side of things as well when we're going through these tips. So jump in whenever you feel like you have something to say.
Oh, I love this.
So, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I always like to treat these like podcast interviews as more of a conversation because, I don't know, it feels more like community-based to me to have a conversation rather than you just like spouting out all of this information.
We're the same way on our Clubhouse calls. It is all like just a round table style room. Come on, join us. Let's have a conversation. So we are all in. So tip number 1 is to go into the event or the conference with a goal in mind. And that doesn't have to be like, I'm going to make this amount of money within what I learned from here. It can be as simple as, hey, I'm going to make 3 connections with new people that I've never met that can be anywhere in the world and just start the conversation with them. Say hi, get to know them as a person, and then see what goes from there. Connect with them after the conference. Just building that community is a huge thing. Another option for this having a goal is if you know an educator's there that you've wanted to talk with and have questions for, write down those questions before you get to the conference and go up to that educator, intentionally ask them, hey, do you mind if I just ask you a couple questions? Can I take 5 minutes of your time? Those educators want to be there and want to answer those questions. So go into it being like, I have this mission, I want to get this goal, and do that throughout your time at the conference.
I love this tip so much. I get asked about networking a lot as an introvert because it can be scary to like go up to people that you've never met. And as an introvert, I know that we thrive with plans and having kind of like a course of action. So whenever you go into an event or a conference or whatever it is, and you look around the room and there's a bunch of people that you've never seen, having that goal in mind, saying, okay, I just have to make it through 3 people and then maybe I can bow out. It gives you a very tangible place to start and gives you a kind almost like motivation to really like start that journey and not just stand in the corner by all of the bread like I want to do sometimes.
Bread's good.
Bread is good.
I love that. The second tip that we have for everyone is to come to any event, even if you are coming as an attendee, come with a way in mind that you are going to add value to the experience. We are firm believers that of lifelong learning and that everybody can learn something from everyone that is around you, not just the educators. So it could be something as extravagant as putting together a free resource that you're just ready to share when somebody asks a question or you overhear a side conversation, or you have made one of your new connections from your goal and you guys are talking and they express a problem that they're having in their business. You have something ready and you're like, oh my gosh, I would love to share this with you. This is what has helped me in my business. Take it or leave it. It doesn't have to be a salesy, putting pressure on people type thing. However, if you set something up just like a simple PDF, think about the event you're going to, why people are going to that event, and what questions they might have that you actually have the ability to answer. If you put that free resource in mind or in place, then sending it to them not only helps them in the moment or whenever they get to look at that, but it also connects you because you are meeting so many different faces and having so many different conversations within a very crunched amount of time that you're likely to forget. And not of any, disinterest of wanting to connect with that person later. But if you make a simple opt-in form that then you have their email address, you know that, hey, this is going to work for me later. And after everything's done, you can send them an email, nothing stuffy, just, hey, I had such a good conversation with you. Wanted to see, where you were with that or if XYZ helped you too. It just opens the door to create that connection again.
Absolutely. There is so much to unpack in this one tip alone. First of all, you do not have to be an educator to help educate. I'm a very firm believer in that. obviously all three of us, we are educators, but every single person in their business they have something that works for them. They have something that they can give and share. And you're totally right. Like, you meet so many people at a conference or at an event, and like a simple Instagram handle, like, yes, like you may follow them, but whenever you're trying to connect with them later, like, did you forget their name, or is their like Instagram handle like kind of weird? It just like disappears forever, and then like 6 months down the road you like see them pop up in your feed and you're like, oh yeah, that's been a while since I've seen from them. So having that opt-in form, having their email address, that way you can intentionally connect, is such a great idea. I love that.
Yeah, and it's fun because you could even just give them like an Amazon list of the equipment that you already use, and because they are looking for a harness or whatever. But yeah, it's something simple. You don't have to be an educator. I'm so glad you said that, because it is so true that like you're just helping them however, and that's a perfect way to do it. Okay, on to number 3. So number 3 is come with an open mind for new strategies, new business practices, meeting new people. Just come with an open mind. It's so easy to get inside of our heads. I know for me, even as kind of like an extrovert, I can get in my head and be like, no one's going to want to talk to me. I already know what I have in place for my business and how I run my weddings. I don't need to change anything. But there has been so many conferences that I've gone to that I'll go into a class thinking, I don't know, maybe I won't learn too much from this. And then I leave with a book full of notes. And I'm like, crap, I need to start all over. Like, that is genius. Why not try that? Or I find a friend, hello Jamie, where I'm like, oh, I have my friend that I came with. She's keeping me comfortable. Like, I feel confident when I'm around her. But what if I just took that step and walked up to someone or chatted with someone further because they said something funny that connected with me? Even if it's not about business, but it's just like, oh, we both love shopping at thrift stores. I don't know, I just made that up. But like, just build the connections. Just have an open mind. You just never know what one moment might change, or one class that you decide to go to might change your entire business or your friends or your community. You just don't know what it'll do for your life.
I know this sounds like such a simple tip, but it's honestly huge, because what is the point of going to a conference if you're going to be closed-minded and not try to get anything from it? And I'm also surprised that you didn't say that you like both like ice cream, because I know that you're a huge ice cream person, Heather.
Sometimes I try and hold myself back because I could just talk about ice cream all the time, and I'm like, let's think about something else. That
I already threw the bread out there, so I mean, you might as well ice cream.
All right, ice cream, that's me. Come find me if you want to talk about ice cream.
Yes.
This next one, Caitlin, we actually really, really want to hear your side of it. Not only for your listeners to be able to benefit from this, but it tends to be easier for extroverts. And going into round 2, Heather and I have been so intentional in the back end of combing through everything we had set in place and making sure that no matter your personality, no matter your state in your business, you are going to feel empowered and supported to be able to get the most out of the conference. And so with any event, there is always, obviously we're all going there for the education portion of it, but there is always opportunities to have fun, either at special themed dinners, at meet and greets, at a game night, like at a karaoke. There's always fun experience things that are peppered into these events, because a lot of the time the side conversations and things that have nothing to do with business but people are just thrown into, that is where the magic happens. And so our encouragement to everyone is look at what the event is offering, have fun, and take advantage of the entire experience. So if there are ways, what we'd love to hear from you is, how can somebody who has more introverted tendencies show up and really take advantage of these without depleting themselves, so that when they come the next morning, like, they don't even, their minds are not available for day 2, day 3. Like, how can they create that balance and still take advantage of those situations?
Oh, I love this. And I think that this is such a personal question because as an introvert, I think that all of our social batteries and even like personal, yes, but also like from time to time, you know, from day to day, our social batteries look completely different. And I think that it's really about recognizing when you get to that low point and being able to take yourself out in order to recharge appropriately. For karaoke, for instance, because I know that you guys do karaoke and I want to go and sing it, which just sounds weird coming from an introvert, but I have like a big like performance background. So I'm like, I want to do the karaoke, and Devin won't come to karaoke with me around here. So anyway, so for me, like if I'm going on like karaoke night, I'm probably going about like midway through because I am too nervous to go at the front. I need to like warm up. I need to have those like initial like conversations, get my battery going a little bit, ease some of those nerves, but I don't want to go too late because I know that if I'm having all of these side conversations, which are so valuable to me in connection and for my business, then I'm going to be like super drained. I'm going to have to give a lot for that performance, and I'm not going to be able to show up ready for the next day. So I think that knowing your limits and being able to say like, yes, this is what I need to do in order to be the best version of myself throughout this experience is really key.
I love that. This is so funny. So you more introverted, but will do karaoke. I more extroverted, will not do karaoke at all.
I think it's weird for me personally because like I don't do like a lot of karaoke, like for sure, but I will do theater all day, which is like like I was like a child actress, and it sounds like weird, but for me, like it's easier to be like on stage, like in a musical or like in a show, because it's not me up there, it's the character, so I can like talk myself out of those nerves. So yeah,
that's a good way to look at it.
But karaoke, it is me, so it's a little bit more nerve-wracking.
Don't think about it.
Yeah.
I totally get that. And I, similar to Heather, as an extrovert, I'm not always I feel like I have to be in that fun, like sporadic mood. And if it's not there, but that event is happening, I have challenged myself in, okay, this is what's happening. You might not feel like it, but you really should participate. Like you really should be part of it, or walk into that room, or go up to that person that you've looked up to and you think, you're not worthy of their time. Pushing yourself beyond what you are afraid of. Like I think the fear or intimidation is much different than if you don't have the energy and you're preserving yourself so that you can show up the best.
Exactly.
So I think being able to decipher that is very important, especially in these types of situations.
And it goes back to like your last, few points, having a goal, knowing what you want to get out of this experience, but then also just being open-minded about it. So
yeah, I think it's such like an encouraging thing to think about, and we've said it several times. It's kind of like the theme of our tips. You just never know what might happen. We hear from so many people that have been to conferences that yes, they've loved the education and they've grown their businesses, but it's the in-between moments or those fun events that's where your connections are born, and just things you can't imagine might happen during those little bit of time. So just go, even if it's for like 15 minutes. Like that's all your battery can handle. Go for those 15 minutes, be present, have fun, and then leave. And you just don't know. You might meet your new best friend.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, number 5.
This one is so good.
This is huge. Like
most important.
Bold, capital letters. Everyone put down what you're doing. Listen to this. And Caitlin hinted to it, which is so fun earlier in this podcast. Block off time. Block off time. Like I want to say it 5 times. Block off time after the conference. And this is kind of twofold. One, as an introvert, and I say I'm an extrovert, but I'm kind of like an introverted extrovert. Like I will go hardcore, but then I need my day of rest. So block off time for you to just rest, recover, recharge your battery, whether that's just sitting in quietness, being with your family, whatever it is. debriefing with yourself, do that first. Set off time for that. But then also take time to implement the things that you've learned at the conference. It's so easy to write down your notes, be super excited at the conference, then you get home, you start doing your daily life, you get involved in things that you are normally doing, and then that notebook just sits, collects dust off to the corner, and you say, oh, I'll get to it during off season, or I'll get to it next month, and you just never do. So take off the time, even if it's a day or two, and only work on those things, get them in your business, and start seeing the progress that happens from the conference.
Absolutely. We cannot say this tip enough.
I know.
This is so important.
No, and the crazy thing that does happen is that you are so inspired. Like if you have never been to an event before, you might not understand, but you are just so inspired. The outside world doesn't exist for those 2 or 3 days. You are around people that are in their element. They're all there cheering for you and giving you tangible ways to move your business forward. And you're writing in that notebook like you have this business gold. And that can give you a false sense of security in the future, a false sense that you're actually moving your business if you don't make time to do those things. Because in your brain, you know them, right? Like, you know what to do. But in reality and in your bank account, that's not going to be the truth.
Yeah, your bank account can't make deposits or like withdrawals from your brain.
If only.
No, if only. I love this. And I think that too, like from like an inspiration standpoint, you come from this conference, you come from this event from such a high, right? And the longer that you sit on this information, you just become less and less inspired, and really even more overwhelmed because you have this stuff that you know you need to implement, but it never seems to get done. It's always in the back burner. So having that intentional time is not only like beneficial like for your business generally, but it's also just beneficial to keep that inspiration going and truly get like the best work out of it.
Absolutely. Block off time, people.
Block off time.
Block off time.
I love this. Now, I know that like you could probably have a bazillion tips, and I know that you guys share tips about conferences and especially your conference on your Instagram and everything. So where can people find you after listening and loving this episode?
We love it. So you can find us on Instagram at The Conquer Community. And then also from there, you can get onto our email list, and we have 52 free weeks of education that once you join, you can get in there and get all of the information about tips and the conference and anything else that's coming out. And then we also have the Clubhouse room, the Conquer Conversations that Caitlin mentioned. They are bi-weekly. They're at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, and they are Wednesday nights, and it will be next Wednesday that it'll like the
yes.
Schedule will be.
Start off
and there we go.
Yes. Well, if this podcast is released at a different time, make sure that you go to their website, because I think, Jamie, you created like a Google Calendar for this as well.
We have a Google Calendar that is super easy to add to your own. You'll never miss a Conquer conversation. You can set it to do reminders and hop on there and ask us any questions that you have. If anybody is getting ready to go to an event or wants to prep for an event, we have a gift for all of Caitlin's listeners. That you guys can download our conference packing checklist. It is filled with everything that you could need to put into your suitcase. Some things you might not think about, especially if you have never been to an event before. There's a little bonus section of different things to expect and what you might need to be able to show up as best as you possibly can.
That is such a good little freebie, because as introverts, we thrive with a plan. Like, I need that checklist for myself. Go snatch it up. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for sharing all of this information. This was helpful for me, so I know that it was helpful for our listeners. And I guess I'll see you later today for our mastermind. But yeah, I know that we'll be in touch on Instagram. I hope that all of our listeners take advantage of all of these resources, because I love following along with you guys and seeing all of your pancake breakfasts and karaoke and everything. So yeah, go snatch those resources, and thank you for listening to the podcast, to Operation Carpe Diem. Make sure that you find all of Heather and Jamie's links in the show notes. You can follow me on Instagram at Caitlin Wilcox Photography. That's Caitlin. I always have to spell my name because there's like 20 million Caitlin spellings. And if you like what you heard, be sure to leave us a 5-star review for the show wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we'll see you next time. Let's go seize the day.